Well, welcome to this Wednesday, September 30th edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and joining me is co-host Juggling Jay. Jay, we've had a week of plenty of things going on. We know about the CONCACAF Gold Cup draw that took place on Monday night. We'll hear a little bit of an interview I had done with Kyle Lightbourne. Obviously, the PGA Bermuda Open Championships got approval to have fans up to 500 tickets a day as of now, but they're hoping that they can actually have more under some strict guidelines and so forth. We'll hear a bit from Sean Silvercole, who is the tournament director of the event, as well as we'll hear a little bit from Daniel Augustus. We'll be joined later by Kelsey Durham, who has earned the right to represent Bermuda in the Gold Cup. And as you know, the Gold Cup, the Bermuda Championships, and a World Rugby Tens event will take place all at the same time, making Bermuda a very busy place at the end of October going into November. But let's get underway with, I do want to give a football update right now at the National Sports Center. The Dendytown Hornets are leading PAC Zebras 1-0 in their Dudley Eve match. And the goal was scored in the 14th minute from none other than Sequoia Robinson. So you know what the headline will be tomorrow. Robinson beats his old team. Cliche, and I want to say extend a very welcome to my friends at number 2 Parlerville Road. They always join in to make sure that they can have a follow-up with whomever we get here on our show. So looking at stuff that happened over the weekend, Jay, what kind of piqued your interest?
Well, first of all, let me back up a bit because you mentioned something. You said you gave an update on the score. That wasn't the final score, right?
No, it's halftime.
So he has not beaten PAC yet. Let's get that right.
But you know what the headline? Listen,
they can lose 2-1 and they can say he lost the game in Berlin Veins.
Dry on that, they would have to erase it and start all over again. But you know the headline is already written, mate.
Yeah, it's partially there. That's good.
Oh yeah,
a great weekend actually. Great weekend of obviously the Premier games, the First Division games, and also the Johnny Walker Championship up at the Ocean View Golf Course. I got to get a chance to get up there and see some of the guys on Saturday actually. Mm-hmm. After I left the for Craig Crockle tournament down in St. David's, right. Which was, man, that was a lot of fun. And Earl, I swear, I felt sorry for the umpires because the amounts of arm raises and shoulder raises for 6 runs. It's like, man, Steve, you guys are gonna need a massage after this because there was some big numbers out there. But right. All in all, man, the weather was beautiful and it was ideal for sports here in our island.
Yeah. A bit of a surprise in the scoreline, Robin Hood and PHC. I know that would have raised your eyebrows just a bit. You expect Robin Hood with the team they have and the young team that PHC have, but the scoreline is still a bit shocking at times.
It's me. It could be 1-0 or 6-1. It just matter how the guys played, and the main thing at the end of that 6, were the guys still together. Right, man, that means a lot, and you know that when it comes to sports, you can see guys give up after 3 goals. So with a young squad and a very experienced,
without a doubt.
And I saw that Antoine Russell didn't even play, so go figure. But in saying that, with a very young squad, and I'll keep saying this every broadcast we have, with young squads, no matter what sport it is, you can have some good games, but they're going to be inconsistent, and that's where the word experience comes in. And right now, they don't have the experience in the side. With the likes of Trey and Sequoia playing football other places, where that's a major cog in the experience.
Right.
Leaving up to the youngsters like Marco Warner, these guys, not to carry a team, that's going to be pretty hard. So it's going to be interesting how, I think if they can get to Christmas, and that's the thing, if they can get to Christmas, even if they get to Christmas with about 5 points, I think they'll build well because, obviously we'll have some players coming back. But if they get to Christmas is that benchmark is, okay, now, are we trending up or are we trending down? And I think
Right.
because if you notice the league, if you get to about 13, anywhere from 12, 11 to 14, 15 points, you're pretty safe.
Right. Well, not to cut you off, but we are joined right now by Kelsey Durham. I'm going to bring him in. Kelsey, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I wanted you to join us because the fact that you will sail the Bermuda flag in the Gold Cup again this year. What was some of the things you learned last year that you could apply this year in preparation?
So last year, before leading up to Gold Cup, I was like a big fleet racing type of guy. This was really my first big match race regatta. You know, match racing and fleet racing, two different things, completely different things. And then you're going against the world's best that already know everything there is to know. You know, I was going in there pretty green, and then coming towards the regatta last year, I was, getting better, actually competing, and stuff like that. And then after that, I've had a lot of match race experience since then, and it's just been ever since that has left, that's finished. My Gold Cup is my match racing regattas have just been coming. I've done a few more, and then after that, I went and did the Bacardi Invitational here in Bermuda. I had won that. So after I won that, that's where I left to go to race with Manhattan Yacht Club. That's when we did our last interview.
Right.
And it's been a good year / bad year. I mean, 2020, everyone's having a bad year, right? But this is where my year has just like started to boom with my sailing career. Other than me going away to high school, but yeah.
The Hamilton Harbor offers another challenge, although you're faced up against in match racing, it's one-on-one kind of thing. But the harbor actually makes it even a bigger challenge with the way the wind kind of swirls around at times, isn't it?
Yeah. So in Hamilton Harbor is probably one of the shiftiest places I've ever sailed. So 1 minute you could be winning the race, the next minute you're losing the race. You know.
Right.
So anything could happen. Like last year, I won one race against the world champion, and no one thought I was going to win that race. But I actually came out and beat him. You know, so the one race I did win was against the reigning world champion. But this year is actually the world championship as well.
Yeah.
So it's not only just the Gold Cup; it's the world championship. So it's the best of the best are coming. It's gonna be the competition's gonna be crazy again. Guys like Taylor Canfield, Mike Buckley, getting Ian Williams, who won it last year.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen the whole roster, guys, but it's a field of 16 teams. I don't know if you guys know Lance Frazier.
Lance, yeah.
But he's living out of Canada, so he's representing Canada right now.
Okay.
It's supposed to be coming. But yeah, my match racing experience from last year and this year is like two completely different things.
Have you finalized who your crew will be?
Yes. None of my crew are Bermudian, unfortunately. It's guys from New York, so they'll be flying down the 22nd of October, I guess, in the air once they pass the COVID test.
Right.
And that's also kind of a mistake I made last year. I got guys that do fleet racing, you know. You need guys that do match racing for a living and race big boats and stuff like that. My crew now have formerly done Gold Cup prior to this, and some of them have already raced with some of the world's best, you know.
Yeah.
Guys like Chris Poole out of New York, and
didn't Chris Skipper about 2 years ago?
Chris Skipper last year.
Oh, last year, yeah.
Chris Poole's ranked 8th in the world right now, so his also coming.
Right.
I actually know a lot of these guys from high school too, so it'll be pretty interesting. And me and Lance sailed against each other when we were kids, and ramping up team together, so should be interesting.
How much time will you have with those guys on the water prior to the event?
So they fly in on a Thursday, I believe, or Friday. The event starts on the Monday. So we have, as long as they get the COVID test back negative, we have Saturday, all day Sunday. But like I said, we sailed together before though. It's just getting them to get the boat done, you know, because they don't always sail IODs.
Right.
They use in the Swedish match race 40s. So once they get the IODs done, then we'll be in the clear.
Right.
But it shouldn't be hard. The old talented guys. The one guy, Alex, that's coming, he actually sailed with me in the Bacardi event. And he's done a team race regatta with me in the IODs here in Bermuda as well. So
Right.
Alex sailed with me quite a bit. And Charlie, I raced with him in high school. And Ed would leave it with him actually when I raced with Chris. So Chris, I went away and sailed with Chris in an event. So yeah, we've all sailed together.
Right. The fact that you raced in it last year, nerves will be a lot less this time around, yeah?
Have to be a lot less for sure.
Because you had your own cheering section out there last year.
Yeah, and we have a spectator boat going out again this year. So if anyone wants to come out and watch, they're more than welcome. Just like to, people that's helped me sponsor getting the boats out there, Attitude Adjustment, Mike Jens, also Pure Play Charters, and just people that's invested time and money into my career, So.
Well, obviously last year you won the one race. This year you're looking to triple that, maybe.
Yeah, this year I'm hoping to triple it, but I know the teams that are coming professional,
Right.
And
they want to be world champion at the end of it, not just Gold Cup champion.
And for world champion, so I know a lot of hired crew from America's Cup. So we're just gonna. I can't afford to hire a crew, but I said the event and that know how to match race. And I've learned a lot over the past year from match racing with like guys like Blythe Walker, Adam Barboza. Those two guys have taught me a lot.
Right.
Yeah, so that's like guys that invested their time in me,
Right.
And Adam's gonna help me out through the Gold Cup, and it's basically like a coach.
Oh, okay. Now let's put it like this, because a lot of people may know or may not know, you also have something else in you. You do a lot of harness racing, so you get some horsepower underneath the boat, maybe.
Yeah, I haven't raced horses in probably about 2 years now.
Yeah.
Since I left to go away, but yeah, I did do harness racing for a few years.
Right.
That was just, I took a little break from sailing. I was still sailing, but I just decided to get into something new.
Right.
I first started with my uncle, and then I like the sport. I still like the sport.
Right.
Just sailing just took over my life since like last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a big part of my life before, but I was just born.
Yeah. Jay, any questions for Kelsey?
Yeah, Kelsey, I mean, growing up, who were some of your local inspirations and also your international inspirations? You mentioned Walker, but let's start with the local tip.
One of my local inspirations, you guys know him out, Stevie Dickerson. He sailed last year.
Yes, he did.
Started this hearing this because me and him argue all the time. I
like to tell Stevie he raised your average age on the boat to one of the oldest in the fleet.
Yeah, so I actually had the oldest crew out there last year. I had Go and Campbell Duffy. But yeah, I'm actually racing this weekend against Stevie. If he comes out, I'm gonna do the comment race this weekend at Mid Atlantic.
Okay.
Races the Stickers Henderson Regatta.
Yes.
So I'm racing there this Sunday, hopefully. I just got the boat down there and ready today, so all goes well. I should be racing there on Sunday.
All right, just up these stakes for the comment race.
Yeah, trying to get as much water time as possible, And the comment guys, they race every weekend.
Right.
Always find other guys that are racing every weekend. So while I'm back, I just got back probably 2 weeks ago because I was back away in Manhattan.
Right.
Doing some sailing with Manhattan Yacht Club. I left probably at the end of August. Got back. It was actually my 14-day test was Monday.
Oh, okay.
So, that's one of the guys I looked up to. And then overseas, I looked up to like Russell Coots and people like that. Still have my life jacket from when Russell Coots signed it when he was doing the Gold Cup.
Right.
I was 13 years old.
That's got to be hanging up on the wall because that can't fit you no more.
Yeah, no, that can't fit me. So local inspirations: Stevie Dickerson, Rudy Bailey, guys like that, you know. And then with the keel boats, obviously I got Adam Barberza, Blythe Walker, Peter Bromby,
right.
and now I'm racing against these guys, you know.
Right.
So
yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank you.
How did the guys feel? You know, once upon a time, you was the little kid that was watching these guys, and now you're battling these guys.
I won't say I'm better than them, but I'm working my way to get there.
I'm saying about battling. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, you don't want to get me in trouble with Stevie. Actually called me out to come out this weekend. So, yeah, now that we're battling, my first time actually racing against Stevie was probably 3 years ago. I did the long distance race. I didn't finish because the wind died out.
Right.
Pressure at Carnival. So I told them, told me, and I'm Carnival. So I dropped out by Kelly Bay. And the second year, I raced on St. George's against Stevie and Malcolm Smith. That was like the battle there, me, Stevie, and Smith. And they got me in the last race because I capsized. But other than that, I haven't really raced since. So Sunday will be my first comment race back in a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Off on North Shore, those boats were looking pretty fast on Sunday. Stevie had his licking, and the fleet was always chasing it. So
yeah, fleet's getting a lot stronger now. There's a lot more competition. There's no more guys stand out. You know, Stevie just don't go out there and win every race day. Right.
You got Maxwell, you have Scott, you have Gledwin Lambert, you have a whole bunch of guys. Anybody could win it.
Exactly. Dale won the long distance last year, I believe.
Yeah.
Maxwell,
Scott, and Maxwell Curtis won it this year.
Yeah.
So, they are consistent, and I think that's why the numbers have increased. They are consistently racing every week. So, that's helped them a lot.
This weekend, I got like 14 boats coming out with me coming out.
Yeah.
So should be a nice regatta, and they do a nice barbecue and stuff afterwards. So it'll be a good day.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time. I guess I'll see you on Sunday on the water, and then at the Gold Cup at the end of the month on the waters of Hamilton Harbor.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, Jay, there you had Kelsey Durham. He carries the Bermuda flag in the Gold Cup only because he's the only sailor that will represent the country. And last year, as he said, he won one race and ultimately beat the world champion in it. I guess that will be one of the races where he knew he was going up against the best in the world for the year, and it's even less pressure because no one's expecting him to win it. No one's expecting him.
Hold on. The locals. We expect to win. I don't care. Right?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Folks on Mike Jones's boat. Yes, I'm pretty sure they had the air horns and every other.
Oh, trust me. Listen, that boat was out. Whatever session Kelsey was sailing in, that boat was out there, family and friends and mate. Hey, I saw a car back up to that boat before the regatta started. I said, hold on, they were there to support Kelsey, and and that type of stuff around it actually helps it. I do have an update for you. It's PHC nil, Dandytown 2 now. Actually, no, it is PHC 1, Dandytown 2. So we're in the second half, and things are heating up at the National Sports Center in that Dudley Eve match. So, it's all to play for. Yes, all to play for. So PHC's got a little pride.
Get back to the last story, Earl, and I just think we remiss if we didn't mention it. This is some of the fruits of when the Gold Cup first started, and what they put in place with the youngsters and sponsoring some of the youngsters and the youngs and growing the sport. And you see this young man started at a very early age, and the connections, the networking that has been able to do through the sport. A lot of times we have a lot of talent on the island, and it's hard to get the networking outside of the island. You see he's doing a lot of his craft outside of the island now, and cherishes every moment when he comes back. But he's doing a lot outside of the island with these networking. And that's one thing I always remember with the guys with the Gold Cup. You know, it's like a big family matter. Like this year, we're on the boat together, and actually we're racing against each other. It's
right.
You see these crews interchange a lot when it comes to the Gold Cup. And you have these young Bermudians involved in it and into that culture. You want to win, but the sport needs to win first.
Yeah, definitely.
And listen to him, and you can see the passion within the way how he speaks about it. It's just a great thing to know that what these guys started many years ago, you see the fruits.
Yeah. Well, we know that there are plenty of youngsters, and of course, he talked about Lance. Lance came up through the Upties and on to the bigger boats and all. And as he said, now Lance is sailing out of Canada, so he'll be back. He will be familiar with the Hamilton Harbor, but it's going to take him that much time as well as the other guys to get used to the shifty conditions. As Kelsey said, you could be leading the race, and I've actually sat there and watched, somebody have a 50-yard lead and then lose by 70 yards because the wind shifted in the middle of the race and you're on the wrong side of the course. And, there's nothing you can do once that happens. Nothing in that Hamilton Harbor you can do. So,
me and you would have got on the boat and started kicking or something,
Well, it's about to, Jay, get out and stop, swim, either pull or push. One or the other. Well, they'll come up with a plan. Trust me, we will come up with a plan.
We're gonna finish, bro. I promise.
Without a doubt, we will finish. We will finish. Let's go back because we were talking about that Johnny Walker tournament. You got a chance to see those guys on Saturday. Saturday was a bit of a shifty wind condition, especially off the number one, because where the wind was coming out, it exposed a lot of the golf course and the dangers because there's not much room on the right side where the practice tee is, and it's all trees on the left hand side. So I got a chance to speak with Daniel Augustus, and we were talking about just that and how he fared off the number one on day one. This is our conversation.
Man, the first day, well, whenever the wind's blowing anywhere out of the south, it makes the first hill a little bit more difficult because the entire hill slopes from like Kentucky. And with the wind pushing in that same direction with most people hitting the draw, it just makes it a little bit tighter because then you have to aim closer to trouble and you have to try and not turn it too much to put it in the tree from left. So it's a tight opening tee shot, and there's not much room for arrows, so it just makes it difficult. I personally prefer the wind to be in the opposite direction as well. It's not my favorite wind direction on the field. Any other direction, I'm good. When it's pushing to the left, man, I'm not a fan.
Right. Well, you weren't the only one because there was a lot, especially whenever the group got out on the tee box. I'm pretty sure the person that was hitting third said, I ain't got to go first. I have a chance to see what's going to happen. And it's almost like you could see the relief on their face, but then when it became their turn, if they didn't see anything different, you're like, oh man, but the wind's picking up. And that plays a lot in teeing off from anywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on the golf course situation. But because this first hill, it's all the balls right, and then trees left. It's like I have to hit a perfect shot away to the tee shot. Usually you have somewhere you can bail out a bit, right? And on this hill, the first hill, you don't have a bailout area. Right. The bailout is missing straight. Like if you miss it straight, and that's easier said than done.
Well, that was Daniel talking about day one. We got on to talking more about, day two, and obviously that's his practice course. And a few days before, he said he played 3 rounds. He shot a 5 under, a 6 under, and a 6 under. And then going into the tournament, obviously he's feeling confident. He knows he could shoot under par. He was 1 over after the first day, and then shot a 5 under. He said, he double bogeyed the first hole. But then fought back and ended up, just throwing all caution to the wind, and the ball started dropping in the hole, and basically from there he didn't even realize that he had won it Standing on the 18th green, I spoke to him. He said, he didn't know what position he was in, and then he sunk that 35-footer to win it. And somebody came up to him and said, "Congratulations!" And he was like, "Why are you congratulating me?" Because in his mind, he didn't know, what position he was in, and he was forever grateful because, growing up around that club, a lot of people had seen him develop, and of course now to have the Johnny Walker Classic trophy with his name on it, it means a lot to him because of the amount of help that's been given to him at the Ocean View Golf Course.
Yeah, most definitely. And even in the tournament, you had a range of players in the Island Bowl, so a lot of the masters, guys who just a lot of the amateurs.
Shout out to the birthday boy. Shout out to the birthday boy.
The birthday boy. He scored 100 not out the first day, and I think he matched it up the second day with a 90-something. So, or another 100. So, I think he probably made the most runs that day.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He did not.
Oh, no, he didn't. Right.
There was somebody that shot a 102 day one.
Actually, his good mate, and I might have mentioned his name, Michael Tucker scored on 103, I believe it was.
Oh, okay. See?
Yeah. And he didn't withdraw either, so I got
No, because when you play, it's all about the camaraderie. It's all about having fun. Some days you'll be good and some days you won't be good. And unfortunately, they struggled on that day.
So let me tell you, since it's my father, I can tell the story, because I heard the story the other day. So you can hear how difficult it was on Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you hear a lot of guys are having troubles off the first tee. Guys are spraying it right. A lot of guys are spraying it right. So I can't remember what hole it was. It could have been the 14th or 15th hole. So the whole day he hadn't pulled out his driver. Decided to pull out his driver, and that's when it went wrong. I think he ended up with about 11 or so on it, and Gary Brangman and Gary, I think, was playing in this group. Like, why did you pull out the driver? You ain't used it all day. If you ever used it all day, why pull out the driver? OJ Pitcher came up. Why you pull out the driver? Why you pull out the driver? But that's golf. It's funny because sometimes you're so addicted to that driver, but even it's shifty or this, that, and the other. If you haven't pulled it out, it can really put you in some trouble. So that day, realistically, he probably lost 6 strokes just on that hole. Even if he would have shot bogey, he ended up shooting 11. But in saying that, to see a lot of it was also good to see Brian
Morris. Yep.
Yes, good to see Brian Morris.
Well, he teed off on Saturday with his son, which I guess was something special for him.
Yes.
And the funny thing was, Jay, Brian teed off third, and of course he is went the furthest. And the straightest. No, he didn't. I'm sorry. His second shot, because his first shot, he wasn't sure if it was still in bounds, so he took a second shot, which actually meant that one. But I'm not sure which bowl he played if he fouled the first one. So, it was a lot of good people out there, playing their trade, getting ready, because obviously the pros are getting ready, and some of the amateurs are getting ready for the Open Championship Qualifier, which will take place mid-October at the Port Royal Golf Course. They have to play 2 rounds, and the top 3, I believe, will be handed a card in the PGA Bermuda Championship. So, that's always at stake. And I know these guys that love the sport would love to have their name in a PGA Tour event. Who wouldn't want to play in a PGA Tour event if you don't play golf? If you play golf, that's what you want, and the fact that you get to play in your country.
Highlight of the career, man. Of the career.
Listen, if you make the cut, if you don't make the cut, after that, you take your clubs and you throw them overboard and say, okay, I've done what I wanted to do. See you all later.
Well, I know a few people who ain't going to get that chance. They'll be volunteers on the course. That's the closest that they get to it. I know a few. I'm not going to call their name, but I know a few that they're going to be a volunteer on the course.
Oh, well, yes. And, but believe it or not, they probably have the best view of anybody.
Yes.
Yeah. Because as a volunteer, you get to move in different places, and you line yourself up. And you can get, as a golfer, you're looking for the best angle of any shot. So it's one of those things. So another update, Juggler.
Let's hear it.
You have a penalty.
Gotta score it.
Well, that's the most important thing. You gotta score. So right now it's 2-1 to the Dendytown Hornets. But staying with golf, the day after the Johnny Walker, the Bermuda Open Championship, held a press conference, and they had 2 additional updates, because back September 1st, they gave updates about the extra $1 million, the fact of the extending the amount of players, which is now at 132. The new ones was the fact that they were going to have fans, and the fact that the players, once they come into Bermuda, once they have their first COVID test and they actually pass that COVID test, they will not be required to take a day 4 test. So that's been approved by the health department in Bermuda, and they will be at the Hamilton Princess in that kind of bubble environment, and they'll be ferried from Hamilton Princess to Morgan's Point? Yeah, Morgan's Point. And then they'll be taken to the golf course via transportation, and then they'll be taken back the same way. So they've worked that out. I did get a chance to speak with the tournament director, Sean Sovacool. Let's hear a bit from our conversation with Sean Sovacool, the championship director.
Well, we're obviously first and foremost very excited, Earl, but also it's a big responsibility. I mean, we have both the Bermuda government and community to think about, as well as PGA Tour. I mean, everybody's going to be paying close attention to how we go about making this work this year. So it's going to just put a little bit more on us in order to make sure that we do this, we do it right, and everybody remains safe.
Yes, definitely. We want to go back to this because we want to reiterate the tickets went on sale yesterday, and the question I had yesterday was how many tickets will be allotted how many tickets would be allotted if there's going to be some discussion on ticket sales, and you indicated. I just want you to reiterate what the procedure is as today, and then you're working on obviously more in the future.
First, I loved your question because we'd had so many internal conversations. I didn't even contemplate the question coming. So I guess I should have. But in any case, we have commissioned the national security as well as the health officials here to allow us to have 500 spectators on a given day. We have been given, I guess, a sense that will happen. We have provided them with all of our information and our application to them, and we have provisional approval for that number. We have approval to host fans. So we believe that the number is going to be around 500. We have no other reason to think otherwise. And you also said, well, what if you have more than that? So over the course of the next 24 hours, that's a great question, because we had to meet with national security today to discuss it again, because the Saturday and Sunday tickets are going extremely fast.
Right.
As I guess you would have contemplated, our numbers on Thursday and Friday aren't bad either, but the Saturday and Sunday tickets are flying pretty good.
Everybody wants the championship days.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be good.
Yeah. So as we know, they've been granted that permission for the 500 tickets per day, because obviously when they announced it, they never said what that limitation would be. So I said, well, what happens if 1,000 people try to buy a ticket? And that's when they indicated that they only had permission for 500 each day, but they're working towards getting more people there. A turnaround of events at the National Sports Center, Juggler, PHC has missed the penalty. And from there, the Dandytown Hornets have scored their third goal. So the score right now is Dandytown 3, PHC 1. A bit of misfortunes.
Should have said no.
You said they got a score. So that's what happens. If you don't score, you give the opportunity to be scored against, and that's what happens. So the unfortunate thing is Dandytown right now, for PHC, it's Dandytown 3, PHC 1. But yeah, so, also on Monday we had that, the draw. Oh, well, before we get off of that golf, Sean has indicated that come maybe by tomorrow or Friday, they're going to start ruling out names of players who have signed up for the event. And with the cancellation of the event over in China, however, there is an event just prior to the one in Bermuda in the U.S. that some players, I think Tiger Woods is hosting it, or he's actually committed to playing in it. So there will be a lot of guys that will take that opportunity, not having to travel. But again, it's that 50 to 100 guys that we'll start seeing names. And I think what they saw with the golf course last year, what they saw with the conditions, I think it would attract a few people. So another update, Juggler. It is now 3-2 at the National Sports Center between the Dandytown Hornets and PHC. Dandytown are leading 3-2. So excitement building. A few minutes to go. What's that?
About 10 minutes or so remain?
Thereabouts, about 10 minutes. Yeah, about 10 minutes to play. So 10, 15. Oh, yeah, time for two girls, man. Time for two girls. But yeah, just looking at that, I think that's where they're trying to go with the golf.
Any word on who's got the broadcasting rights for this tournament?
It will be broadcast on the Golf Channel. Okay. So the Golf Channel is global. Last year they had the same thing. The difference this time is last year, I believe we only had something like 4 hours of coverage each day. And I think that has been increased this time around because there's nothing on over in China. So I think that will assist us in making sure.
Obviously you're going to get the golf enthusiasts. They're going to want to be there live. But for the common sportsman who's just interested in sports, if you start out during the day and you're looking at you're watching the sport and you see a local that's moving up the board, all of a sudden, let me jump in the car and go up the road. That's that. Can I get a ticket? That'd be
right. I was just going to say that.
But also in saying that, Earl, it also builds well for the next year.
Yeah.
Because if it does happen, okay.
I just think it will make it even a bigger attraction now because guys with bigger boats will end up going around and sitting off on the South Shore as long as it's calm and watching proceedings from there. They'll watch it on TV. They'll have a TV on the boat, but they'll also that's just to be part of the atmosphere because I remember years going by, you always had a few boats off of the 16th green. But this time I think with the limited amount of spectators being allowed and so many different obstacles, I just think it'd be more open for those pleasure boats and those tour boats to actually have people, depending on how much time you have, to be around there and just feel that atmosphere, especially on the Sunday because it'll be electrifying coming down 16th, 17th, 18th. So. One thing, it will be set up. And in speaking with many people around, especially golfers, they want a bit of breeze because the breeze will challenge the golfers. If there's no breeze, they'll eat up the golf course.
Eat it, yeah.
So,
but I will say that I was up there last week. I went up there for a site visit. I got to do a wedding up there. But the course is looking good. Need some water in the pond coming in. I said, okay, where the water at? But that obviously was right after the storms. So obviously all the ponds looking great. But man, it's the grass. It looks good coming in. Now I don't know about the greens because I haven't been on the greens.
Yeah. Sean. Speaking of Sean, he played there last weekend. He said the greens are in very good shape. They've gotten all the pump systems back up and running now. They've got all the nutrients in there for the greens and everything and they have a month. So he said there was a time where he was a bit worried, but now, and he saw what the guys were able to do last year right after a hurricane. I mean, the hurricane was 3 weeks or a month before the event, and they had 3 weeks to clean it up and get it ready, and they accomplished it. So, given those challenges, I think the guys will be ready for the biggest event or in the golfing fraternity for come back for that PGA Tour event. And I'm smiling, Jay, because you're going to smile in a second. PHCF scored again. The score is 3-3 at the National Sports Center between the Dendy Town Hornets and PHC missed the penalty. Yes, so it's good. It's going to be an interesting finish. About 7 minutes to go. So we'll keep everyone informed on how things are going there, and But Monday evening, you were going to have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question, just regarding because I don't think a lot of folks realize the National Sports Center. We talk about it all the time. That playing surface, some teams can adapt to it very quickly. I heard you talk about a bit the other day with on Sunday with this on the show Sunday and the previous Sunday. But the National Sports Center surface, a lot of these guys, like you said, fast. And especially with our amateur clubs, it's hard for these guys to even get 4 touches together on that fast surface. The team that's able to adapt the fastest normally are probably the ones who normally want to come out victorious. So I'm thinking with our youngsters out there, I'm proud already.
Well, more drama. You actually have another penalty.
I gotta make this one. Whoever took the last one, leave it alone. Okay.
Yeah. Well, being that we're talking football,
just talk about that. So, who's been the main penalty taker for PAC over the last probably 5 years or so?
Yeah, actually Trey.
Well, Trey and Sequoia Robinson.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you have time to work out a penalty taker, but that's always part of a training session as well. So he takes the best.
Let me tell you something, Earl, and you know this too, Earl. There's guys that love to take it.
Oh yeah.
Guys that love to run from taking it.
Oh yeah. I was always the penalty taker when I played. So I love that. I love that challenge.
You used to toe burn the ball, man. I'm pretty sure you
used to. No, sir. I have to tell you I had 2 penalties saved. One, George O'Brien, when he's playing for St. David's. I actually told him the Friday before we played on the Sunday that if we got a penalty the way I was going, I told him. And I went the way, and he went, and he said it was a stroke of halftime too. So we had a talk walking up the field. But the second one, it actually was the first one I missed, was against when Port Royal were playing. Remember when Port Royal were playing?
Yes.
Yeah, and Paul Hayward was in goal for them.
Yes,
and they were on top of the table. We were second, and I took the penalty, went to his right, he dove and saved it out for a corner. From the corner, I scored a header because I never went back. I scored a header, and the match was abandoned after that because a Port Royal player was in disagreement with the referee that it shouldn't have been a penalty from the start, and then the fact that we scored right behind it, he kind of got physical, and the match was abandoned. But we were leading 2-1 at the time, so the taking penalties is one of those things Unfortunately, juggler Marco Warren has missed the penalty.
Don't say that.
Marco Warren has missed the penalty. So 2 penalty misses for PHC, and the score remains 3-3.
Okay. All right, Danny, tell I need a girl from you now.
Well, the thing is, the last time they missed the penalty, Danny Town went right down and scored.
Yeah. I wonder who's playing the girl for Danny Town tonight.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But Monday evening, the draw for the CONCACAF Gold Cup took place, the redraw that put us in a very tight position. Obviously, we will face Barbados in the first round, and then if we're successful against Barbados, we play the winner out of Haiti and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So if we're successful in those 2 games, we will actually be in the group with USA and Canada. Yeah. But what they say, if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. So why not beat them in those early rounds? So I got a chance to speak with Kyle Lightbourne about the draw. Let's hear from Kyle regarding the CONCACAF draw that took place on Monday night.
Comparing to how it was laid out before, I guess with Qatar coming in, I had to retake a few things because one spot had been taken. So in order to get down to just 3, they had to do something different, and this is what they come up with. I don't think it works in our favor, but it is what it is. We just have to get our heads around it and try and prepare ourselves right. If this goes off, 2021 is especially the summer is a bumper summer for the men's senior team, because we also have Nations Cup as well as World Cup, and it's a lot of football to be played in the off season. Oh yeah, next, if things turn back to normal, and we're gonna have so many matches from being, really not playing at all. We're gonna jump right into it. We us at the BFA now, we have to sit down and try and figure out the next step for us, because so many things have changed because of COVID, as far as the international players. For instance, someone that's in Europe coming to the United States with the 14-day quarantine, at this present time. So it's so many things that it's not in our favor at this present moment, but so the local players have to be prepared and have to be ready to step in.
Yeah, so it's going to be a big challenge for the Bermuda national team come next summer if things do in fact return to normal, and the fact that we will be playing more than likely in the United States. They have challenges right now, and come July, who knows what will be, what will be the case, and in California as well. So more than likely it'll be in California. That's where the USA like to take all their matches, put people in that altitude and that heat, and so we'll have to wait and see.
Well, first things first, before I forget, happy late birthday to Coach. Coach celebrated yesterday.
Yes.
Coach. But no, going to, and I hate to see this because I don't know if you saw that train wreck last night. The debate between the president and the vice president of the United States.
Wouldn't even watch it.
Well, I tell you, it's probably the worst thing you could ever see. But in saying that, the state that the United States is in with the pandemic alone, if the president is able to get back in, and they're probably expecting another 200,000 deaths maybe in the next couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know how that's going to build well, because, it's been many flare-ups today, and you're talking about the wildfires in California. and the health side of that, obviously with the smoke and everything else. So I think that's going to be very, very, very interesting. But for our players, you mentioned something earlier. You want to play the best.
Yeah.
You want to play the best. And I think that they've taken on this attitude that they fear no one.
Right.
They fear no one. And I think once we keep everybody's expectations on a level of, obviously our players, they want to do what they need. They're ready to take on the world. But I believe with us playing against this good competition, from competition to competition to competition, I think it does all our players well, because now we're getting top competition throughout the year, not like having one good game out of a 2-year cycle.
Right.
We've been getting for many years.
Right. Well, Jay, let's join Mr. Vernon Springer, who will give us his Caribbean update. Mr. Springer.
Good day, Bazen. This is Vernon Springer from Glass Sports Media in St. John's, Antigua and Barbuda. It is a lovely day here in Antigua and Barbuda, and it is wonderful to be speaking to you and to your listeners on Island Stats in Bermuda. What's happening with sports in the OECS and the wider part of the Caribbean? Well, in terms of football, the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association has resumed their Premier League, and they've also resumed their First Division. So football is up and running in St. Kitts and Nevis. So that's a good thing in terms of football. There's been a youth development program which is being launched in St. Kitts at the Connery Cricket Center, which is being controlled by the Ministry of Sports and also spearheaded with some initiative work by the St. Kitts Cricket Association. Nothing has really kicked off officially in Nevis. As we know, the cricket is continuing in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We also know that Barbados is up and running with their T20 tournament. We know that Trinidad and Tobago, they're going to be having a retreat in October to be discussed their way forward in terms of their cricket season. And then in Antigua and Barbuda, it doesn't look as if the Cool and Smooth T20 tournament will take place. So that's been another talking point in Antigua and Barbuda. In October, the Cricket West Indies test team and also the One Day team and the T20 team will meet for a training camp at the Coolidge ground. So welcoming news, as you know, the West Indies will be going and heading out to New Zealand. The women's team, you would say they got a thrashing, and I think it is something that Cricket West Indies will have to address concerning the women's program, which is to be able to have a wider pool of what we would say women cricketers that can be able to take us to the next level going forward. I also would want to see a call where Deandra Dottin becomes the new West Indies women's captain. I don't know about it. That the time has come where we maybe need a young motivator, somebody with some more energy to be able to spur up that level of the cricket. The Gold Cup draw is out. We've also had a number of interesting teams lining up. I recognize, as you would have said, Earl, Bermuda, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but I don't think that you could take your eyes off a little country like Montserrat, who has been very, very, very competitive and has looked really, really good. So they're going to be also very hard to beat. I think 2021, the summer is going to be very active. Jamaica has got a really intense program. You know, they're going to be also in the leg qualifying for the World Cup qualifiers going on to the World Cup. They got some big games, Mexico, the United States, and they're also into the Gold Cup draw. So it's going to be a pretty busy time. On the international scene, on the IPL, outside of the West Indies T20 and one the captain Kyron Pollard, the other West Indians have not turned up yet, but it's early days in the IPL, and we're just hoping that the Joe Russells and the Gales and the Purans, with exceptional feeling for Puran in one of the games right there, and Headmiles, that they'll put up their hands sooner rather than later. But the IPL has been exciting so far, and the games have been very, 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 very competitive. On the athletic scene and the world stage, yes, some of our Caribbean athletes have had some good seasons so far. So outside of the borders being closed in most countries, it's a quiet time
in what we would say in and around sports. And whether they are open, their borders are not fully open yet, but they're playing football. They're also playing cricket. St. Martin is not open yet. So it's a challenge still for a number of countries. And when we look around on the global stage on the television, we know the NBA Finals. It's now a showdown now between Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers. Who will bet against the Los Angeles Lakers? I don't know. I'm a Lakers fan, so I'm hoping that Kobe Bryant and Anthony Davis can be able to bring home this one for the Black Mamba. And as you know, the struggle continues in sports. The Black Lives Matter movement, Serena Williams out through injury. It's just been a tough time. The record that she wanted to be able to go after looks like it could be over because with an injury that she has and she has sustained, I think that could keep her out maybe for another year. But you never know. In the world of sports, hey, you could be back out there in maybe 2 to 3 months' time and ready to go to be able to hit some balls. But sports in the OSS, hey, it's a little far-fetched so far, and we just got to be able to take it one day at a time. But I just want to say to all the folks in Bermuda and whoever listening to your program to stay safe and make sure that you follow the protocols. This is Vernon Springer for Gospel Media for Island Sports in Bermuda. Urban, God bless you and thank you very much.
Well, we've heard from Mr. Springer. Obviously, a lot of talk there. Jay, just to give you another update, the match has ended with PHC 3, Dandytown 3. So the match is over. The Dandytown Hornets will advance to the next round of the Dudley Eve, along with Devonshire Cougars in that group. So the next match will see North Village and Robin Hood. North Village need a victory in order to stay in it. All Robin Hood need is a draw. And, North Village, the only way they can get in is through a victory, with Somerset having a win and Robin Hood having a win as well. So that should be an interesting matchup. But looking at how things are shaping up for the future in sports, especially in Bermuda and internationally, for Bermuda, I think we have been the leaders in the sporting world and getting things back up and running. I think a lot of countries, amateur-wise, have been looking at how Bermuda has been able to handle the COVID restrictions and getting their sports back up and running, because in speaking with both members of the Bermuda Cricket Board and Bermuda Football Association, other member associations around the Caribbean have contacted them to see what they have been able to put in place to get their sport in their country up and running. So it's going well, and who knows, out of this we might become one of those leading venues that everybody will want to come to and be a part of their sport.
Well, this goes back to our management pandemic overall. We've been quite fortunate to only lost 9 lives. Believe it is 9 lives, and I think the last life we lost was back in May. So many months without losing a life. Even right now, we have 5 active cases. Nobody's hospitalized. We haven't had anybody hospitalized for a few months now. Then we were even in a period of 3 weeks or so without any cases at all. Where you've seen other islands who felt that it was on top of the pandemic, but have flared back up.
Right.
Some others have also had to go back into another phase just to try to get a grip on it. So I think that's what's bode well for us, where we haven't had the so-called second wave yet, or we're just being lucky we're with our protocols in place is enable us to do what we want to do. I won't say do what we want to do, but also give us the license to do the sports that we want to play, but obviously being protected. They mentioned earlier with the fans being for the PGA Golf, 500 people. Obviously, it's going to still be probably a task trying to manage those people in certain areas, because obviously, 500 people doesn't seem a lot when you talk about a golf course, but as you know, the bottleneck somewhere.
Yes.
Around
and we discussed where we know the bottleneck will definitely be on Saturday and Sunday will be the 9th and the 18th. And trying to get to the 10th hole throughout the day, because people are going to get to that 9th and 18th hole And it's going to be a congestion there when the golfers are trying to get through to go on that back nine. So they're working through that, and obviously there's going to be some challenges there, and you might see an increase of not security, but the people making sure that people are distancing and are wearing their mask. The only time you won't be wearing your mask is if you're eating and or drinking something, but outside of that, you're going to be required to wear a mask. So.
I was surprised Mr. Springer didn't go too much into the West Indies women's side. Losing, I watched a bit of it the last match today, and I watched most of the games, and it's unfortunately the talent's not there. Between Dutton, if Dutton doesn't make runs, Taylor doesn't make runs. And congratulations to Taylor, making it 3,000 runs, and man, that's an achievement in itself. Right. But realistically, if those two don't make any runs, I mean, I listened to Captain Taylor talking about they're just giving up way too many runs, especially the death overs. But with those, if you're not really making runs, you're seeing England averaging 150, 160, 180 runs with the England. They've got a long road to travel, a long road. I see that the West Indies will have another tour coming up, I believe, in November.
Yes, heading to New Zealand.
New Zealand, so that's going to be interesting because once again, there's those conditions in New Zealand. Mind, they have a bunch of young players down there right now, but the conditions down there, woo. Actually,
the difference is
wow for us for the West Indies.
The one problem that I see the West Indies having, a handful of guys are playing in the CPL. The other guys right now, cricket is not being played in their country, so it's just training, and that's going to be the problem.
And I mean, we're on the outside looking in. How many times those players that are playing in the CPL are actually playing for the West Indies? Right.
So pretty much not even half of them.
You're seeing Karen Pollard, the Mumbai Indians, Andre Russell winning games, Narine. I mean, you can go on and on and on, and it's gonna be interesting what sport they take down there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, any parting words because we've come to an end of another.
Yes. I got a message. Just saw interview with Steph's son. I was in the kitchen. Send regards to Batman Basden. I just thought I was saying, pass it on to you, buddy.
Listen,
I didn't know who Batman Basden was, but I guess
one of my several aliases.
You know about that one. And also, folks, I will apologize first because he hasn't apologized, but I will apologize for us missing last week because Batman Basden celebrated a birthday and he thought he was probably too good to even come on air with you guys and share his birthday with you. So on behalf of the Untitled Sports Show, I just want to apologize to our viewers and listeners that Mr. Basden, Batman, do you have any words?
Let's put it like this. There was an attempt made at having a show, but things got derailed as the day continued with many other surprises coming up. So I was unable to perform that duty last week, but we're back, and we look forward to weekly conversations on sports in and around Bermuda. How's that?
I'll take that.
You ain't trying to get me back because I got you on your birthdays. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Brother Juggler. Enjoy the rest of your night. And to you folks, again, that final score at the National Sports Center was the Dandytown Hornets 3, PHC Zebras 3. And we'll be back next week with another Island Stats Sports Show right here on islandstats.com.